Our cities have already become hellholes with carjackings, lootings, muggings, and murder spilling deep into the suburbs. The other day, one of the great people who worked for me in the White House, an executive, brilliant young person, was carjacked and shot in the head and killed. And this is in Washington, D.C. It took place. He was picking up his wife, incredible couple, beautiful couple with children, beautiful children. And a thug came up, put a gun to his head and killed him. For no reason whatsoever, just killed him. Our currency will be trashed. Our middle class will be thrown into servitude and poverty. This is what's happening already. You see it's happening. You take a look at your cities are going to hell. You take a look at what's going on. They're filthy, dirty, they're crime-ridden. People walk down the street, they get shot, they get mugged. We're really likely to face I say 100% chance of a terrorist attack. You know, in 2019, and I didn't even believe this number, but the fake news, that's a lot of fake news. Look at that. It's a lot of fake news. I didn't believe this number, but they had up that in 2019, that's my time, there were no terrorists. You know, we had all sorts of bans. We had it down. We really had it down. Not one terrorist that they have, at least on record, I'm sure it can't be exactly correct, but not one terrorist was reported. Now, if you look at your numbers, more than we've ever taken are pouring into our country from all over the world, from countries that many of you have never even heard of. They're pouring into our country. And an entire generation of young people could very well be decimated by something that could very well happen, World War III, and it'll never happen with me. I can tell you that. It will never happen with me. Never. If you care about your country, if you care about your children, then this November you have to fire. Remember The Apprentice? You're fired. Fired. Some people say that's how I became president. I don't know if that's true or not. That was quite something. But you have to fire crooked Joe Biden, and we have to do votes like you've never seen before. They cheat like hell. We have to just swamp them. We're going to swamp them. They're not going to be able to cheat their way out of it. No, think of it. Who can get elected with high interest rates, open borders, food that costs 40, 50, 60% more than it did just a few years ago? Your lifestyles have changed. Who can get elected with this stuff? A woke military. We have a great military. I rebuilt the entire military. And how about Afghanistan, the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country? Which is why Putin probably looked at that. He saw incompetence all over. That was a surrender, I guess. And we had it not in 18 months, we didn't have one person shot or killed in Afghanistan, not one person. And then this guy comes in and he takes the soldiers out first, okay? A child, I could take that beautiful child in the third row. I see a beautiful child, like probably 10 or 11, say, would you move the soldiers out first or last? And he'd look at me and say, I think we'll do it last. They took the soldiers out, and then supposed to take them out last. You take all the equipment, you take all the people. We had 13 incredible soldiers. I've gotten to know their families killed. These are unbelievable young people. The families are unbelievable, actually. They've come over to Bedminster and different places, and we love them. But 13 killed so unnecessarily. We left behind $85 billion worth of equipment. You know, Afghanistan now is one of the largest sellers of military equipment in the world. They're selling our beautiful brand new equipment. We left hundreds of people behind, including others that we could have taken, but we left hundreds of Americans behind. They're still there. And I think when Putin and President Xi of China, when they look at this, all of a sudden, President Xi starts thinking in terms of Taiwan. He's certainly thinking a lot about it. They weren't thinking about it 4 years ago. And Putin was always the apple of his eye, but he would have never done it. He would have never done it. And he went into a place that's so beautiful, and it's not so beautiful anymore. He went into Ukraine, and what's happened there is very horrible, very, very horrible, very sad. These are things would have never happened. The attack on Israel would have never happened, And inflation would have never happened. We have inflation, the worst we've had in 72 years. Inflation would have never happened. Energy caused inflation. We had energy low. He had energy high because of his stupid policies. Perhaps worst of all, even as they turn America into a crime-ridden, gang-infested, terror-filled dumping ground, Joe Biden and his thugs will do everything in their power to confiscate your guns and annihilate your God-given right to self-defense. You have a right to self-defense. You've always had that right. And during my 4 years, nothing happened, and there was great pressure on me having to do with guns. We did nothing. We didn't yield. And once you yield a little bit, that's just the beginning. That's the avalanche begins. 4 more years of Joe Biden means 4 more years of anti-gun communists running the ATF. They're going to run it. They're running it now, just in case you have any questions. But it means hundreds of more radical left judges waging a crusade against law-abiding gun owners. And 4 more years of Joe Biden means a nonstop war on gun makers, dealers, and sellers designed to put the entire industry right out of business. They want to put it out of business. I tell you, the NRA for me has been a great partner. They endorsed me early in 2016, and the relationship's been a great relationship. And I don't know what they're doing in May, but I understand they're having a very big event in May. They better endorse me. That's the only thing I can say. That's actually an endorsement that means something. Well, I'm coming to Dallas in May, I can tell you that. The only thing standing between you and the obliteration of your under siege Second Amendment is me. I'm the only thing. Anybody else, you wouldn't have your guns right now. You know, they started with the ammunition, you know that. They couldn't do the guns with me, so then they started getting rid of the ammunition. People said, I have a gun, I can't get ammunition. We took care of that very quickly. If Joe Biden is reelected, your gun rights will be gone. They'll be totally gone. You know, the sad part of that is the bad guys aren't giving up their guns. The bad guys aren't, but the good people aren't giving up their guns either, because there's never going to be anybody that's going to be asking for your gun. And when I'm reelected, every single Biden attack on gun owners and manufacturers will be terminated my very first week back in office, perhaps my first day.